What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another installation video. Today is the day we finally replaced the factory exhaust on the FZ. We've spent countless hours researching. There's so many different options out there. I finally narrowed it down to what I think is the ultimate exhaust for this bike. Today's the day we're going to install it. Let's check it out. All right, we've decided to go with the Leovince. This is the LV1 Evo exhaust in carbon fiber. So let's go ahead and open this up. Even the packaging on this exhaust looks fantastic. So inside, the first thing you're gonna see is the canister itself. And again, this is the carbon fiber version. They offer it in a stainless, and they also offer a new black edition that's coming out really soon. Decided to go with the carbon fiber edition. Just really like the look of it. This does have a removable baffle as well. I'll put my gloves on so we don't put fingerprints all over the header pipes. The information pamphlet and instructions. This thing is packaged very well. A lot of foam inside of here to keep it from getting damaged during shipping. Looks like you get some Leovince decals. Information on how to register for warranty. Some more cardboard. And you have the exhaust hanger that attaches the muffler to the underside of the bike. This is also made out of carbon fiber. Really nice touch. And then you have the head pipes themselves. It's important that you use some gloves or something to keep from getting the oils off of your hands and fingers onto the exhaust. The quality of the welds are fantastic on this. It looks really, really nice. And you have the 3 header pipes that come off of each cylinder and the flanges that will mount to the cylinder. This is another part of the hanger to hang the muffler underneath the bike and the hardware. So let's go over some of the features of this exhaust, and then we'll go over the tools that we're going to use and get this thing installed. So guys, Leovince has been making exhaust since 1954. That's 65 years that they've been in the exhaust business. You can find them on Moto GP bikes, super bikes, motocross, supercross, enduros, you name it. They are manufactured in Italy. All manufacturing and development of the exhaust systems and carbon fiber details are handled inside the company to guarantee quality control throughout their product line. The LV1 Evo Carbon features 2 full layers of carbon sleeve, a full carbon end cap, an attractive matte finish, packaging that can withstand up to 1650 degrees Fahrenheit, a full carbon fastening strap for the canister. The stainless steel internals and mid pipes are made out of 304 stainless. All this while still being much lighter than your factory exhaust and tuned specifically to work with your stock fuel settings. It gives you increased horsepower across the entire RPM range and a real deep exhaust tone. All right, so a list of the tools that you're going to need are pretty simple. You'll need some metric sockets, a ratchet, maybe a couple of extensions. I also have this universal, which makes it easy to get into some of the tight spots. You want new exhaust gaskets anytime you replace the exhaust on your bike, so I picked up a set of those. I have this device, which is a spring puller to help pull the springs and install the springs on the new one. This is an optional item. This is an O2 sensor socket. It's not necessary. You can probably get it off with an adjustable wrench or just a regular wrench, but this does make it a little bit easier. Sometimes they are tough to get off and can strip, so it's nice to have something like that. A T-handle just in case. Always need a torque wrench to torque everything down to spec when you're done. A set of Allen wrenches, and I have some denatured alcohol. This is so that we can wipe all the fingerprints and smudges, grease, or anything that we might get on the exhaust before we start it for the first time to keep it from staining. So that should do it. Let's go ahead to the bike and start removing the old exhaust. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is remove the O2 sensor. This can be done without unplugging the harness, but unplugging it just keeps you from twisting or damaging the wires. So first thing we'll do, there's a little bracket right here. You can take these 2 bolts off. There is a little clip that holds the wire. Just kind of pull it out so you can remove that wire. And the wire is also behind this lug on the side of the brake mount. Okay, once you have that off, this little boot can be pulled up, and there is a tab that you can press in to remove go. So I'm just going to remove it here from this plug, and all you need to do, you'll see there's two little retention devices on the side. Don't worry about those. It's the one right here in the center. All you do is pull it up and the plug will come undone. So now you can take this off. So this is where we take the special socket. I can put it over the sensor. And it is pretty tight. Just kind of bump it a little bit. Once you have it loose, it should come off by hand. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the bolts that hold the exhaust to the cylinder heads. I've got a 12 millimeter socket and a small extension to reach those. And I'm going to go ahead and completely remove all but one of the nuts on here. And all of these will come down except for that last one. All right. So next we need to remove the two bolts that hold on the muffler part of it. So those are going to be right in there. If you see that, that is the bolt. There's one on each side. Okay, so I'll put an extension and a swivel on the end of it. It's a 12 millimeter as well. Put a ratchet on there, and then we'll release that. And then we should be able to pull that out. Okay, now we'll move over to the other side of the bike. As you can see, same bolt right here on that side, so we'll get the ratchet and the universal on it. All right. So now all I have to do is back on the front, remove that last bolt. The last flange. Okay, here we go. All right, and be very gentle coming out. Don't want to scratch anything, so lift up on the back and the front side kind of slides out. Now we can start assembly of the new one. Okay, so reassembly with the new parts is really simple. You'll have the new gasket, the adapter bushing, and then the new flange goes right on top of that for each of the 3 cylinders. We'll go ahead and bolt those up right now. Okay, and this will reutilize the old nuts that you took off. And then take the flange, put it on top, and put the nuts. That looks good. We'll repeat that for the other 2. All right, now you can just take the time to make sure that each one of the gaskets are fully seated in here. All right, now we're going to torque these bolts down. I'm going to get our torque wrench and 12 millimeter socket. We're going to torque these down to 14 foot-pounds. You want to kind of alternate side to side on each one of them until you get to the right torque. You want to also avoid using too long of an extension with the torque wrench because it will reduce your torque. now we can start putting on the header pipes. Okay, now I've gone ahead and laid these out in the order that it looks like they go. We're gonna go ahead and attach them one by one up here, and then we're gonna add in the junction pipe in the center. All right, so if you can see on here, might be a little bit difficult, but there's some lettering stamped on here. It says 46D. That stamped lettering has to face the engine block in order for these holes to line up with the hooks for the springs. So on all 3 cylinders, it has to be the same way. Found it out the hard way, but no big deal. We just had to flip them around and get it corrected. So now it's gonna line up better for the spring. We can go ahead and put that on so we can hold it in place. Tool. Perfect. Pull that one here. The last one. All right, so that's all 3. Now we can reattach our collector pipe. It's just a matter of lining them all up, just like that. And it slides all together. Now we can connect our springs on this end. Got a spring here. Telling you, if you're trying to do this without this spring tool, you're making life hard on yourself. I'm going to have a link for the one that I used in the description, so if you want to pick one up. That's 2. And there's 1 more on the other end. There we go. So that's it for that. Now we need to mount the bracket that's going to secure the mid pipe and the muffler. All right, so it's a little bit difficult to try to film and get these little pieces in here, so I've got it installed. The instructions were a little bit hard to read, but I have it figured out. There's 3 different lengths of the bolts. The longest bolt attaches right up here at the top, where my finger is. It goes through that grommet, metal grommet, through the case, engine case, where you took the original bolt off, then through the bracket, and there's a nut on the back side. The shortest bolt's gonna go down here on the bottom, the bolt, washer, and a nut on the back side. And the medium length bolt is gonna actually go to the bracket, the carbon fiber bracket that secures the canister, goes through a metal grommet and a nut on the back side. I'll walk around to the other side and show you what that looks like. All right, so that is the nut on the back of the canister. Right there. That is the nut on the back side of the bracket. And the nut on the back side of the other end of the bracket. So now I'm just going to tighten everything up. We have to put the O2 sensor back on. Plug it back in, making sure it's all the way in. Put this wire back behind the keeper, and we can replace the 2 Allen bolts. So we'll need 13mm wrench on the back side for the nuts and a 6mm Allen on these Allen bolts. All right, so now all we need to do is get a clean rag. I'm gonna rub some alcohol on everything, make sure we get all the fingerprints off, and then we're ready for a sound test. This is denatured alcohol. You can get that just about any hardware store. All we have left to do now is fire this thing up and give it a quick sound test. Okay guys, I think that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.